So, welcome back to Frontiere Motorsport. It has been a while and it is time for another podcast. What are we saying, boys?
Indeed, indeed. It's time for us to take a seat on Conversation Street.
So,
Did it?
so you may be asking, what are we actually going to be talking about? And to be truthful, it is what we have been doing over the last 6 or 7 months. As you've probably seen, the channel has been very, very quiet for a long time. We've all been extremely busy. So I think it's only fair that we give an explanation on why we have been gone and what's actually been going on in our lives. So
In terms of a year as to start doing a YouTube channel that we're quite serious about, we did really pick a time for it.
yeah, I mean,
Yes, we did.
We spent what was it, a 1 year anniversary, and we hadn't done a serious bit of videoing for a while, had we?
yeah, it's been one of them. We
That's
always
fine.
we always started this channel with obviously the aim of just providing content which is somewhat entertaining. I use questionable, but yeah, it's never been a serious thing. You know, we're not in it for any other reason apart from to just have fun. But
It's a,
but
it's a hobby.
recently we've been missing it, haven't we, boys?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
I've certainly
definitely.
missed it.
So
It's all hobbies, really, isn't it?
yeah. So
Yeah.
to kick things off, I suppose I'll start. So in the last say in the last 6 months, about a year ago, to the week near enough, I bought a house. Um, so that obviously that was a big step for me, but it wasn't a house that I could just go and live in. I needed to go and renovate it. I'll cue some pictures up now. So I've turned it from, well, I say it was a livable place. It wasn't really. We had to do full renovations. For those of you who are in the construction and building trade, it was a full rewire, full plumbing system redo, plasters, walls, everything got knocked down, rebuilt. So it's been a
And
big job. Bryce has been to the house, haven't you? You helped me with the
I
roof.
know. I was just about to say, out of all the people you could ask to help you, you asked me,
Yeah, I
which
mean,
was an interesting one.
I
uh,
have to admit, I haven't actually been to your house yet, Mike. I'm looking forward to it, especially if you've done a full rewire and a full rework of everything. Are you getting all the interior decorated and stuff too?
yeah. So
Oh,
it's effectively a brand new house. So it's been very interesting. But over the last 6 months, we really have knuckled down
what,
to get it ready.
what's the story of it, if I may ask? Is it an old farmhouse or something, or?
No, it's a semi detached. I think the couple that were in there before, they wanted to just downsize. They were getting a bit too old for the property, but it's everything I wanted. It's near where my parents live. It's near where my partner lives. So it's very close to where I currently am based. But it's got everything. It's got my garage. It's got enough space. It's even got space for my new recording studio slash sim room slash everything else room.
I say.
I'm so looking forward to seeing that done. You put a
Yeah,
lot of
Yeah,
time into
a
this.
little Frontier Motorsport escape.
yeah. So
I wish unfortunately, my little studio flat for university does not have a custom recording studio.
yeah, so it's. I mean,
It's
even to the point where even the rewire, I've put more sockets in one side of the room because I'm planning on where things are going and things like that. So it's been nice to actually
Have
custom
you been doing
build.
it all yourself?
Yeah, so well, I say all myself. I've a lot of
You've had,
family and
you've had
friends have helped
handyman
out.
where necessary.
Yeah,
I was
so
about to say, nice that our help's very much appreciated.
yeah, I'd be lying if I said I did it all on my own. People who've renovated houses before know that it can't be done all on your own.
No.
But in terms of trades, it's been very very minimal in terms of who I've had
Really?
actually coming in to help. So
Everything done
that's
by
why it's
you?
took so long.
Oh, good on you. Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear.
So yeah, so I mean that's obviously why I've been quiet on videos because I've not actually had access to my sim rig for the last 8 months. So
Well,
yeah, so that's why I've not been producing that much content in that sense. Not to mention, in the last 3 months now, I've changed jobs. For those of you who know me, I'm now back at Three Sisters. I had such a good time at the Blur project. I still wish all the guys the very best over there and with Pro 2 EV. If you do want to see some of the stuff that I've done with them guys, check over Pro 2 EV TV. It's it's a fantastic group. But I had an opportunity that I couldn't refuse. It's operations supervisor at Three Sisters. So I've gone from being a casual there for 5 years to effectively a management position. So I had to take it. But that schedule again, getting used to the going from a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 to working all hours of the day and all week and weekends and everything in between. It's been a change. So that has been the other thing as well. But I'm slowly getting into it now. As you can see, there's this video is going to be released. We've got plenty more videos planned to come out very shortly. So we're getting into the swing of things now. So that's mainly it from my point. Broome, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. I think you
Why
might be able to.
start?
Yeah, quite a start from Mike there. I think you to the viewers, you'll probably be able to draw parallels between myself and Adam when he gets going. But yeah, no, I suppose I think we've not really. God, when did the last video come out? You say 7 or 8 months ago. So what's that? February, March?
Roughly, yeah,
Um,
something along those lines.
yeah,
About that time, unfortunately, at the start of the year, I wasn't in a great place because I went through a pretty tricky breakup. But that's a story for another day. But after that, a lot of things got happening in my life. I was working a lot. Uni work kind of took over a significant part of my life because obviously I was getting towards the end of another uni year. Obviously, Bricey can relate to that. You know, we had a lot of assignments due in, stuff we had to focus on. So unfortunately, my
Yeah.
free time was a little minimal. But the free time that I had outside of that was taken up by something else. This year I was very lucky through our uni to be offered the opportunity to work in the British Touring Car Championship for Powermax Racing as a number 3 mechanic, and that was gosh, well, I was very lucky to get offered the position, and I did take it. I applied for a couple of others. I um, actually applied for the same place that Adam works at, Speedworks Motorsport, but unfortunately I was rejected. And then I applied for Toro Verde, which is a Porsche Carrera Cup team. Sorry, and they did offer me a place. However, I thought that the more prestigious position at PMR was better for me at this stage. Would kind of open more doors than perhaps lower. Well, I say lower. Perhaps a
I was about to
slightly
say,
different.
like
yeah.
Jules is a love. Let's put it like that.
Yeah,
Like
I'd say
dual
a
two
different.
worlds.
Yeah, I'd say I wouldn't say that the Carrera Cup and things like that is a lower form of motorsport. I'd say it's equal but
The
different.
two different pathways, aren't they?
Yeah,
But
it's a
but
different pathway.
BTCC is
Yeah,
obviously the pinnacle of touring car, isn't it? Really.
yeah. I certainly thought so, and you know I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, there were moments when it did get tough. You know, you really had to grit your teeth and get
Pride
across.
high, pride high.
There were moments when hang on a moment, I heard ride out then.
I was
You
going to
did say
say,
ride
please,
high.
please elaborate, Bryce.
And you listen here, Bryce. Hang on, let me
Well,
finish my.
I
Let me
think
hang on, hang on, whoa, whoa,
since
whoa, whoa,
Broome's
whoa,
on the
hang on,
team,
one
since
sec, one
Broome's
sec.
on the
Let me
team, I
finish
think
my
we'll let
sentence
him
a little bit,
elaborate.
and then you can start having a go at me for maybe or maybe not breaking the rules. So, so, so yeah. Besides things that may or may not have happened, which we'll get onto shortly. We yeah, I did really enjoy it. You know, there were ups and downs moments. I think Snetterton was a race, perhaps. I think personally, I'd like to forget because it wasn't the best weekend for me. I made a few mistakes that, I've looked back on. I thought, oh, really? Come on, did I do that? And you do beat yourself up over those things, especially when you're new to it. So for anybody who's wanting to get into motorsport, you will have moments like that. And anyone who's experienced will probably also tell you that there are
So,
moments.
so
But
Broome and I have talked about this a few times because I've always said to him that touring car is a brutal environment. It's so full on from the moment you get to the circuit to the moment you pack up and go home, and it is easy to blame yourself for these. Like I said to you at the time, like yeah, you made a little mistake, the only thing you can do is move on from it, and you have, and you did really well, to be
Yeah,
fair.
I think certainly a moment where you do feel like things are stacked against you is really good to help you move forward. And I certainly think I did going into the summer break. You know, we had certainly for Power Max Racing PMR, we had a bumper weekend at Alton Park. We we were quite happy with the performance of the car all weekend, and then we suddenly got to race 3, and we got pulled out of the hat. Well, both our drivers finished in the top 10 in race 2. Now I don't know what people know about British touring car, the way the rules work. Basically, in race 3, the numbers of the positions. The position numbers of the drivers get picked out of a random bowl, like the lotto, and it sets the grid. And our drivers were picked to go first and second. So our driver, Mikey Doble, started first, and Aaron Taylor Smith, the car that I worked on, he started second. So you know it was quite good to be at the front of the grid for once. Uh, certainly, it looked good from being P1, P2. And you know the race got going. We were all on the edge of our seats, hoping and hoping and hoping and hoping. And unfortunately, I think BMW decided to put the
It was
go-go
Hill,
in
wasn't it?
Jake Hill's car, because Jake Hill got past Aaron some point around the halfway mark, and fair play to Mikey. I think BTCC actually posted a video of it today, but they said about how good of a battle Jake Hill and Mikey Doble had on the last lap of the race, and unfortunately, Jake Hill, being in the BMW, took away our what would have been Mikey's maiden win and the maiden win for the team for quite a while. But we were very very happy to settle for a overall double podium in P2 and P3, which, funnily enough, was actually the first in the team's history. And I think
Really?
yeah, genuinely first ever double podium in the team's history, which is
Fair
crazy.
play.
Yeah, which is crazy. And you know that went into some break, came back, you know, got back used to it, got back into the swing of things. We had some decent results going through the rest of the year, and then that ultimately ended up at Brands Hatch, where I think I've got the statistics here. Yeah, there they are. Aaron walked away with the Independent Drivers' Championship. The Mikey walked away with the Jack Sears Championship. So Jack Sears for British Touring Car non-aficionados is basically a trophy for the driver who has never had an overall podium. So Mikey qualified for it because he had never had a podium before this year. Now he does. So next year he won't be able to compete for it. So there you go. I think that makes a bit of sense. But yeah, so Mikey won that championship, and the team won the Independence Team Championship. So say what you will about the fact that there were only 3 teams who were competing in it, but there were only 3 independent teams. However, we, as a team that obviously has lost its factory sponsorship from Vauxhall, I think it's a hell of a, and also the fact that last year we didn't get anywhere close to winning it. I don't think this year being able to do it in what the time we did was fantastic. And actually, we sealed it before Brands Hatch. We sealed it at Silverstone. We just didn't
Well,
celebrate.
speaking of Silverstone,
I was going to say
Oh, here we go.
before you mention Silverstone, I just want to say that I think as a general season, I think PMR have proved that even as an independent team, they have what it takes to keep up with
Well, yeah. I mean,
the favourites, if you wish.
like I said, I've got the statistics here, and Aaron got 20 out of 30 independent driver podiums. Mikey got 15 Jack Sears podiums, and the team overall got 591 out of 600 independent team points available. And
so as much as I'm
That's
on
an
a rival
achievement.
team
That.
here,
that's a hell of an
as
achievement.
much as I'm on a rival team here, and I want to say I don't respect it at all, I have to commend what PMR have done. Their
I think
performance this year has been phenomenal.
compared to last year, I think I certainly chose a hell of a year get involved, and I'm so thankful for. And if I don't know if any of them will be watching or not, but if just maybe one of them is, I'm so thankful for the opportunity that PMR gave me, and I really hope that I could see some of them again and work with some of them again because they're great people, and it felt much more like a big, dysfunctional family as opposed to a race team, and I think that was good because everyone kind of got along, everyone could have a laugh, and everyone was, there when
You
things
got.
were tough.
I'm right in saying you got a really nice gift off Mikey as well, didn't you? Or Aaron Taylor, sorry.
I got a very nice gift off Aaron. Yeah, I was given a very nice picture with all of our with all the or a significant portion of the crew on it. Certainly the ones that work on the cars most often, and also the immediate car crew around Aaron, which I was featured on, and I got a very nice personal message from him. So yeah, that's up on my wall now, quite close to me. So I can always have a look at it and just be reminded of it. So yeah, it was a fantastic memory, and I think that's going to stick with me. And it's certainly given me some. It's given me some lessons about what I don't want to do. Because I've certainly realised to myself that I'm not the best mechanic in the world. There are people in this world who are much, much better mechanics than me, but it's really taught me about where I do want to go with my career and where I want to go in future, and that's a really good thing. Because you can never underestimate what an opportunity can do for you, and
No,
in fact, it
no,
will always give you good experience and good ideas about what you can and can't do.
yeah, and I think that's obviously one of the really really big positives of obviously working in high end motorsport. But as you know, there is also some downsides. I'll let Bryce take it
Here we
away.
go. Here we go.
Well,
Come on, let me have it.
I mean, come on, we got to talk about it.
Yeah, right. So
Uh,
basically, there was a little incident at Silverstone, which unfortunately meant that we Aaron qualified on pole at Silverstone, which was amazing. We were so over the moon, and we were like, "What the heck?" After literally, I kid you not, viewers, at the end of the qualifying session, which he was in before. So I don't know which one that was. I don't know whether it was the first round of qualifying or it was the second out of the five.
would have been the
Um,
second, I think.
I think it was the second one out of the five. His gear shifter broke in his hand. So he went.
Oh wait,
He went to
that might have
pull.
been between the first and second.
I think it
But
might
yeah,
have
I saw you guys
it might have
repairing
been at
that.
the end of the first. He went to pull fifth gear going down the Wellington Straight at Silverstone, and apparently the gear shifter came off in his hand. Literally, not a bolt came loose; it snapped. So that's not good. And apparently, I've heard the onboard footage is quite comical. It's a bit like Looney Tunes when you see something, and so you have to do a double take to see what happens.
I love your expert analysis on that. It snapped in his hand. Well, that's not good, is it? That's not supposed to happen.
Well, I tell you what, he got out of the car and he said, "I went to pull fifth and it came off in my hand." He goes, "That's not ideal."
I went to
Yeah.
pull fifth and I pulled the gear off.
Why,
Yeah, I pulled the gearbox out.
why do we
But
get
yeah,
the
so
impression of like the oh no? Anyway,
oh no, moving on. Yeah, so he got it back in the pit lane and we got a new one on very very stressfully. But yeah, we got one on. And then he went back out. The weather changed quite significantly, and in the process of trying to make Aaron comfortable and extract as much performance out of the car as we could, and obviously the fact that we were focusing on multiple things, with the gear shifter, we then did a ride height change, and then it rained quite soon after. So he came in, we pitted for wets, and he went back out. Now, in touring car, because of the nature of the cars and things, wets are usually pressured a little bit lower than slicks.
Mm.
So
There's also the fact that the rubber on the actual wet tires
yeah,
compound is a lot softer, so it
yeah,
sags down a little bit.
exactly. Yeah, the actual compound that picks up the water and disperses it is a lot softer, which means that it will, under the weight of the car and under load, it will deform a little bit more, which makes the car sit lower. And basically, he qualified pole. We were over the moon, went down, and then he went over the rollers. And Mikey had the same thing, unfortunately, because um, they were doing the same thing. They were changing the ride height and things. Then suddenly the weather changed. I mean, Bryce, you could tell him. You will be able to say how quickly the rain came. It came a
Oh
little.
well, so for clarity, I was there for the Thursday and the Friday, but I went
Oh
home on
yeah,
the
sorry.
Saturday
Yeah,
because
you were ill. I do apologise. So yeah, unfortunately,
I wasn't well. So,
any
but I
any
was watching it
yeah
from home.
anyone who was there will tell you the rain came awfully fast, and it was biblical. to say the least. Unlike the Sunday, which was just a horrible,
I
horrible
heard that was
day.
atrocious.
Oh God, I've never been so wet in my life. But yeah, so the rain came and went. And when they came back into the pit lane at the end of qualifying, both Mikey's and Aaron's cars were too low because of the fact that we changed the ride height and the tyres. The cars were sitting a lot lower than they should have been, really, and ideally for a wet setup. Um,
I'll,
Unfortunately, it seemed like the dry setup with the wet tyres was brilliant because it gave us exactly what we wanted. But yeah, unfortunately, it led to us being disqualified from qualifying.
Yeah, I'll try add a picture of how they test the ride height, but I'll try and put a picture up now. But basically, they have effectively a wheel that they will push under the car,
It's a roller.
and it's like a cylindrical wheel, and then if the wheel gets stuck on the car, obviously it's deemed too low. The wheel should
Yeah,
go under the car freely and not actually make contact with anything.
yeah. I think for us,
And
it stopped a little bit at the far side of the front splitter, and then I think it stopped at the front side of one of the side skirts, which is annoying because that
yeah,
usually means that there was something around that area which was a problem.
Yeah,
Uh, But I honestly, I think even to this day, none of us really found out or kind of understood what was wrong. Um, I think in the process of us maybe trying to fix the what's it called, the gear shifter, if someone stepped on it,
yeah,
with a bit more force than they should have, or we had a bit where I think it might have slid off the skirts, sorry, slid off the what's it called, skates, and if it damaged anything, and sometimes cars do that, they can slide off the roller skates they've got to go in the air jacks, but sometimes that will happen and it can damage something or other. So yeah, I don't think there's any real concrete evidence of what happened. I think it just happened and it sorted. We came back and it was an all right weekend at the end. I think it wasn't too bad. I think we had a bit of a midweek or sorry mid pack weekend. But yeah, so I think for us it was okay. It was obviously frustrating, but we capitalised on it. We
yeah.
worked through. We worked
And
through it.
I think that's the thing. I mean, I've done not with British touring car, but I've done plenty of motorsport weekends, and I think you do have your ups and downs, but it's dealing with the bad points, getting past them, throwing them over your shoulder, and just moving on, and actually
Yeah,
making the
yeah,
most of what you've got left.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so just quickly with that, Mike. When you were at Monza, which I'll let you explain the story in a minute, but how many moments were there in that where you were like, "Oh, that's unideal. I'm gonna have to try and fix that."
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't name names, but I was looking after two R5 Fiestas and an XWRC Fiesta, doing fuel calculations and data analysis of driver data, etc. One of the R5 drivers basically blew a hole in the exhaust manifold because he was running on anti-lag pretty much the whole time. So because he was on and off throttle so frequently, it blew a hole in the exhaust manifold. Now, thankfully, I didn't have to do any mechanics on that car. I was only the data tech.
thank God.
But the guys were working pretty much in the garage all night to get
Yeah,
this
I,
exhaust manifold changed.
I'll tell you now, there were a few late nights this year at PMR. We were at Thruxton. There was a problem where we had Aaron crashed his car in qualifying, and Mikey had to have his engine out
Yeah.
to have something checked, and we were there until 1 o'clock in the morning.
But as I
So,
say though, there's good points and bad points, and going back
oh yeah,
to
yeah,
Monza, I mean, I think I've told Bryce this story a few times, but one of the highlights of my trip on that weekend, I went for a fuel run with one of the mechanics. So again, I won't name the team,
Yes.
but the team was all Italians. Now, for those of you who know me, I don't speak Italian. And the funny thing is,
yeah.
they don't speak English either. So I'm trying to tell them how much fuel to put in this WRC car, and they was not understanding what I was saying. So I ended up going with them for a fuel run. So you have to drive out of your garage across paddock into kind of a fueling area. Now, again, I can't really get a picture, but the fueling area was almost like a horseshoe shape. So it was a big long straight, 90 degrees into fueling, and then 90 degrees out of fueling down a big long straight again. So we turned into fueling, and the Italian mechanic who was driving the WRC Fiesta, he decides to stop the vehicle, and he turns over, looks at me, and I say, no matter what language you speak, the look that he give me only means one thing and one thing only, and he put it in stage mode, put it in launch control, and just set off in this WRC car, and it was it was such an amazing feeling to feel this WRC car just set off. We was pretty much top end second gear by the end of this short straight. Again, for those of you who know rallying, you'll understand how short ratio these gearboxes are. You were going stupidly quick, but fortunately, me being the data analyst, I got to clear all the evidence after the fueling had commenced. So there was obviously nothing left at the end to show for it, but despite having that language barrier of them not speaking English and obviously myself not speaking Italian, you have ways of communicating, and it's good fun. But as you say, that was one weekend, and you have your up points, you have your down points. But I love that weekend. Doing Rally Monza was brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean
Yeah.
something else I did this year, which I really really loved, is that our university has access to a Ginetta G40. G40?
Oh, that was so much
Junior.
fun.
Little cup car we've got here in the UK, as I'm sure most people know. Yeah, we took it testing as part of one of our modules in second year. And yeah, that was brilliant. I absolutely loved that. It was a great chance to work with all my friends and all my mates in the course, as well as the lecturers and a couple other people. And we did it across 2 days. And I initially I had a couple of roles. I was responsible for the logistics. So I sorted out the movement schedule. So for anybody who doesn't know, it's the document that basically describes where you are and what you've got to do at what time and where you need to go and things like this. Um, and then I also helped out with the loading list and a few other bits, as well as a couple of maintenance jobs on the car before we went. And then when we got there, I was kind of like I was doing the radio checks. I was doing the I was doing car in, car out. So I was basically guiding the car. I would stand in front of it to do the bits and basically just check that what was going on. I wasn't the number one mechanic. That was one of the guys who were on the car properly, but I was basically just there to look out for things and make sure the driver was happy. I was strapping the driver in and getting him ready to go and things like that, so we were all okay with that.
That's
Um,
good.
but then, and we did it across 2 days at Three Sisters. So unfortunately, Mike wasn't there to see it at the time. But yeah, we basically did it across 2 days, Tuesday and a Thursday, I think it was, wasn't it? And I did both days, and we had two separate sets of people. Bricey, you were the Tuesday, weren't you? I think you were.
Yes, because I had to head down to,
Yeah.
I think that was Frocton weekend, or was that Snare? That might have been Snare.
That might have been Snetterton weekend, I think. But yeah, we were literally like the Tuesday was a half day, Thursday was a full day. So, and the Thursday, by the end of the day, not even that, by lunchtime, I'd actually kind of become the team manager in a sense. I was talking to everybody. Like I said, I was doing the radio checks. I was, looking out for everyone and understanding what was going on, helping where I could, and I was talking about, everything and what jobs we wanted to do. And then by the end of it, we had a proper race meeting. Because the weather changed, it got a bit wet, and we were a bit like, and unfortunately, the driver is a friend of ours. Because it got so slippery, and the way the Three Sisters is, it's a decent track, but I think it could do with the resurface in a few places.
Hang
Oh,
on, hang on, hang on.
okay.
Oh, hang on. You just said that to the operations supervisor
Yeah,
of Frontier.
but
I will admit, on the last corner, there was a bit of water flowing across, which made it very difficult to brake and turn properly.
now Now, I really hate to burst your bubble here, but the geniuses that surface the track, unfortunately, they cannot stop physics. When the water flows down, when the water flows down a mountain and it's got to cross the
Yeah,
track, you
yeah.
you,
Well,
you can't really.
I'll be honest, Mike. I thought you guys had finally figured out how to get around the nth dimensions and all that. So
Yeah. To
you
be
make
to
us
be
work.
fair though, recently, I mean, well, say recently, it got resurfaced a good few years back. I'm talking less than 10 years,
Yeah, yeah. It's
not that long ago. But we have done a lot of drainage upgrades in the last couple of years, and it is
I've noticed that.
so much better. I mean, it can go from flooded to kind of, when I say wet, I mean just no standing water within half an hour.
yeah. I
It
think I
gets
think
really
that's
really
it. I think it's because the rain was coming down,
yeah.
and in that particular part of the track, because it's where it dips. To go to the final corner, there was water across the track, and unfortunately, the driver did kind of go through it, and it did kind of make the car skate a bit. And then
Yeah.
he went into the mud, and it just took him away because the mud was so slippery.
I mean,
Um,
being obviously
Long story short, he crashed.
yeah,
long
he
story
did
short,
crash because I heard about this from both sides. Obviously, I got the backlash of obviously the people who had to fix the tire wall. Um,
sorry.
but I also found
It's
out
fine. He
the
showed you.
story
It's fine though.
from
It's two laps
Bryce.
later. He showed you where he crashed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, going back to a point you just made there, Broome, which I think again is something that isn't, I'd say, common knowledge. If you have a dry track which has been rubbered and been used for a decent length of time, and then it starts to rain, it becomes more slippy than actually a fully wet track because all the grease and the rubber starts to lift, and if there is any bedded in rubber, it basically becomes ice.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. That's why we were a bit concerned, and that's what we had the race meeting about. We were at the meeting, and we had a meeting in the back of a little office at Three Sisters in one of the garages, or in the big garage that they've got there. And we basically said, look, we said to the driver, myself, the two data engineers, and the number one mechanic, and the driver. We basically said to him, look, what do you guys want to do? Because the conditions are changeable, exceedingly changeable at the moment. We don't know what's going to be best. Do we want to continue? Do we want to do something different? Do we want to call it a day and say that's it? And we basically came to a conclusion which was beneficial for everybody. Everybody got a little bit of experience with doing things. We put a little bit of pressure on everybody just to kind of even things out. And then at the end of the day, it worked out really well. And thinking on your feet like that and making those tough decisions, which can sometimes make or break something like that, is um, really, really does matter. But yeah, so we've all been really, really busy this year, and I've been busy, and I think that's at the end of the day. Certainly, that's why for me, I've found it very difficult to find the time to get in and record videos.
Yeah. And I was going to say, you just said then we're all very busy. We've not even spoke about Bryce yet.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, sorry, Bryce. I've been
yeah,
taking up your line,
last
mate.
last but not least, Brycey, what have you been doing?
Well, it's very similar to Broome in some
What has
senses.
been
So I've spent 2 years now with Speedworks Motorsport, they run the Toyota Gazoo racing team in the British touring car, and this year they've actually run the LKQ Cinetec team as well, or the Euro car parts with Cinetec. Um, and it's been yet again another pleasure. So last year I spent a lot of the time on the tires, kind of learning how they do it from the technicians themselves, and it got to a point where 3 rounds before the end, I was the main tire tech for Ricky Collard, which was baffling for me at the time. And I started out on tires this year as well. I did a couple test days, and I did rounds 1 and 2 on Watson's car doing tires. And then as we got to round 3, I said to them halfway through that I'd like to learn a bit more on the car side, try and get a bit more mechanically minded, and they obliged to it. So from Snetterton to, I think it was Thruxton. No, from Snetterton to Knockhill, I was on the spanners. Snetterton being around where our team made our own history by being. Let me try this again. It's the first time we recorded our first 1-2-3 in the history of the sport for us, which was an amazing moment. We have a photo of like the Huff team on the bonnet of the car from Snetterton race weekend. That was just such an amazing event. And it was just a pleasure to work. So I spent most of the year spannering for Huff, but I also jumped onto Watson's occasionally. But most of the year was on Rob Huff's car, and that was just a pleasure. And then we went through the seasons. We've collected 5 race wins this year, and 9 podiums and a pole position with Josh Cook at Donington, which I had to jump back on tyres for that one. So I'm grateful to say I was part of that as well. But probably the race that sticks out in my mind has to be Knockhill, because that was just a mental weekend. Like Broome will back me up. The wind and Knockhill.
Oh goodness me! I tell you what, we had standard in touring car and most paddocks you'll get gazebos that people put up to keep things under whether it gets wet or windy. I tell you what, we had 20-kilo weights on a 4-corner tent. We had 2 20-kilo weights per corner, and the wind was blowing the tent around. The tent moved 6 foot in a gust, and we were like, so we were really quite concerned. But at least it did brighten up. It brightened up on Sunday. We had our sunglasses out, our arms out, and everything.
Yeah, it did. But it broke our awning. I don't know if I told you. Like the bit that attaches to the HDV, it actually snapped the bracket completely off.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And it was just like, oh boy, we've got to try and make a new one while holding on to it so it doesn't fly off.
It was a very different weekend for me. It was a decent weekend, but the thing was that at 1:30 in the morning on this Monday morning, trying to come back towards Bolton where I'd parked my car at our uni and then drive back to my parents' house in Derby, I then was like, do you know what? It's 1:30 in the morning. We thought we were going to get there at midnight, and I ran my girlfriend and stayed in Lancaster.
Yeah, you look
so I was like, oh my god, I'm not doing this. It's too late. I can't. Oh my god, what a flipping crazy is the M6, but bloody hell.
Yeah, but it was an amazing race. It was an amazing experience working with the team again. I've had a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. Sorry, and I'm happy to say I've worked on 3 of the 4 cars this year as well as the time in the workshop, of course.
I was going to say, Bryce, you've been doing behind the scenes stuff as well, haven't you? As well as events, you've been doing all the running around for workshops and things like that.
So yeah, I've been doing a lot. I've travelled a lot of places for the team. I've been down to oh god, I've forgotten now. I've been to RML. I've been down to Neil Brown. Been to I can't remember. There's been so many places.
You've been everywhere.
ABS,
all sorts. But then also, in terms of the racing world, I've also been doing some GT racing. Midway through the season, I got the opportunity to go to the McLaren Trophy events, which are like a support event for the Fanatec GT World Challenge. And I back in the tyre role, and I was with the 17 car of Jane Kelly and Fiona James, which they're lovely people, really nice to work with them. But my first race weekend in the GT World Challenge was at the Spa 24 Hour, which we ended up winning. We had a DNF in the first race, and then the second race we won from the back of the grid.
That's an achievement, that is.
Absolutely.
It was really good. It was an amazing event. And then they asked me back again for the Nürburgring a couple of rounds later, which again, really, that was probably one of my favourite ones that we did. I mean, don't get me wrong, Spa was amazing because they have a tradition where all the cars from all the series go into the middle of Spa Centre. And like having all these, it's a very traditionally cultured place. It's a beautiful city. And then you've just got God knows how many millions pounds worth of vehicles just sitting in the middle of the city. And you're just like, they're just there. Like, there's no barrier. There's barriers around the pavements. But that's it.
I absolutely love the cultural aspect of all these things that motorsport does as well.
Yeah.
It's the same with Le Mans, isn't it?
Yeah. It's brilliant, though. Like how they have group hearing in the actual centre of Le Mans.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But then there was the Nürburgring, which was a really good one. Ended up going to the Pistenwasser to have a meal one night, which is it's a pizzeria that's famous for its steak on a stone. So
Yeah, you
they
told me
can
about this. It's a
Yeah, I wonder what the food hygiene rating is.
Yeah, it's owned by the Smith family, like
Yeah.
Sabine, the Queen of Nürburgring. So her family owns it. It's got all the memorabilia all over the circuit, all over the pub or the pizzeria. And then also, if you look on all the walls, everyone writes their names on it when they go with the family. They go to Nürburgring, they stop off for something to eat at this place, and everyone writes their names on the wall. So mine's up there somewhere.
I was gonna say, if you send me the
Right.
picture, I'll put it on the on the screen
That's
to
incredible.
show what your name is.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Me
And
me
then we went
found our way to the
karting.
Nordschleife yet.
We went. Sorry.
Me and Mike haven't found our way to the Nordschleife yet.
No.
No, if you ever go to the Nürburgring and have a look
Well,
around,
you might have to take
stop
us,
for
Roxy.
food. Huh? Oh, I'm
You might have
taking
to
you
take
now.
us.
We'll see. I'll only if I get to scare you around the track.
Oh God.
You scare me anyway.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So you obviously you went to the pizzeria, which is famous for its steaks.
Yes.
You wrote your name on the ceiling. And then you went karting, didn't you?
You're a vandal, you are.
Yes. Yes, we did. We went karting. I made a bet with one of the mechanics on this actually, because he'd done this mechanic. I will remain nameless.
Yeah.
We'll call him Tim. So Tim thought that he was like, "Yeah, I'm quicker than you. No one's beating me in any kart." And I was like, "Nah, I'll beat you." And it went back and forth for a little bit, and eventually we said 10 quid.
I like how it only
we'll
got
find
to a tenner.
It only got to a tenner, and then he said, "We'll find a track that neither of us have driven on before, and we'll settle it." And I was like, "Right, okay. As soon as we get back to UTK, we'll sort it." Didn't have to wait until then. We ended up going karting at the Nürburgring because there's a little go-kart track inside the ring. So we just looked, and when we figured that out, we just looked at each other and went, "Yeah, we're sorting this now." I may have been half a second quicker, so I'm still waiting on Tim. If you're there, I'm waiting on that tenner.
Shots.
You heard him.
And then we did a sim race, and to be fair, that was good fun. That was really, really good fun. Fully motion sims, 3 laps.
Get in trouble for that, Bricey.
We won't talk about that.
Hang on a minute. I've not heard this story.
We may have got in slight trouble because, well, I feel like this is probably not a story I should say, but we got in a little bit of trouble, is all I'll say. But in the sim race, it was a 3-lap race around the Nürburgring on this sim, and fully motion rigs, and it came down to the final 30 meters of the circuit because we were side by side going down the final straight, me and Tim.
all 12 miles of it.
Yeah, and we were just like, I got a better run out of the corner, and I was going past him, and then suddenly his top end speed kicked in, so he came back at me, and we're just going down the straight virtually side by side. And then I had to back out, and as we came around the final corner of the circuit, he downshifted too early, the back end slipped out, and then when he went to accelerate, he missed one of the gears, and I was like, perfect, that's my chance. Sent it around the outside and missed out by, I think it was 0.044 seconds at the line. So it was such a good race, and neither of us were angry about it. We just laughed about it the whole way home.
That's mad.
So that Nürburgring's probably one of my favourite rounds we've done this weekend, or this year, I should say.
Really?
That was
over touring car?
Honestly, yeah. As much as I don't get me wrong, I love the touring car. I love the atmosphere it brings. It's a completely unique scenario.
I was going to say it's a whole different atmosphere.
Yeah, but in terms of raw enjoyment in that moment, I love the Nürburgring. That was so good, and I love working with everyone there, as I did with the guys in the touring car. And it's just those guys are fantastic. And then I've just got back 2 weeks ago. I was at Barcelona for the final round of this McLaren Trophy event, where we secured 3rd place in the championship.
Wow! Congrats.
So we're very happy with it. It's been a very challenging year, especially in the GT world. But and we may have bullied Matt slightly. Very well know who I'm on about. I think I've shown you the video. But yeah, I've loved it. It's been fantastic. But we are at the point where we're at the off season, and Frontiere Motorsport is back.
Yeah, and I think you've laid that up quite nicely for me there. So we've got plenty of things planned for coming out. As I mentioned right at the beginning, I am without my sim rig. So in terms of content for sim racing, I am kind of out of the equation. But Bryce has very, very kindly recorded a couple of, well, sorry, not a couple. He's recorded a mini series and a kind of a few odd videos here and there. So they'll be being released in the next kind of few weeks, months, etc. Because there's plenty of content there. We've got a Halloween special coming out with a few of our friends. So that'll be on the Frontier Not Motorsport playlist kind of side of the channel. And then we have got a big announcement in terms of coming around to New Year. We're looking forward to announcing that one closer to the time. As I said, it's been a lot of work in the process, hasn't it, guys? I know you guys will know what I'm on about.
Yeah, it's been a fair bit of work behind the scenes, but I think when we've got some more free time, we're able to do a bit more. It's going to pay off for us.
Yeah, especially when I've obviously got settled into the new house and the new setup. So I can't wait for that personally. The other thing as well, which I haven't mentioned, is as it is still in the works, if you wish, is I'm currently in the middle of making a deal swapping project cars. I really, 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 really hope this pulls off. I will not spoil it just in case it don't happen. But for those again of you who know me, I've got a competition spec MX5, fully built by myself. It's only a few items away from being up to MX5 Cup spec. But I originally built it for rallying. But obviously the changing times, I've worked out that rallying's probably not the best scene for me at the minute. So it was kind of put on a back burner, and again with the house and things like that, it's not been a big priority of mine. But I bumped into some of my old colleagues. I'll use the word colleagues. I'll not name names. And there's a deal on the table where I could be getting quite a unique vehicle as a swap. So if I can get my hands on this vehicle, I will be doing a lot of content around that car, and hopefully be doing some sprints and hill climbs in it. That is the only clue I'm going to give, is that I will be competing in sprints and hill climbs in this vehicle if I get said car.
I'll give you another hint. It's not a Toyota Corolla, a McLaren
yeah,
Artura, and 570.
yeah. Well, I
Or
was gonna say unfortunately, but I don't know. I think as much as I would love,
I'm obliged to say not, unfortunately.
as much as I would love to drive a GT3 car, I think this is, in terms of uniqueness, I think this is quite up there. It's probably, in terms of acceleration and downforce, I bet it's on a similar level.
See, kind of given a massive hint with that statement alone.
Right.
Should we not say any more?
I'll
just in case
just
you accidentally reveal it.
yeah. I'll not say any more. But I'm in the middle of talks with said people about swapping vehicles. The obviously the car that I've got is perfect for them, and they need to get rid of this car. And I said I'll take it on board. The car is only half built, so I will need to finish building it. But again, I think that's going to be really nice content for you guys if I can get my hands on it.
Yeah. No, I was just about to say, let us know in the comments below if you do want to see something like that. If this does go ahead, whether you want to see build.
And to be honest, I think if it doesn't pull through, if the deal doesn't pull through, I'll just convert the MX-5 into sprint spec, and I'll just do some hill climbs in that. But I really, really want this car. It's been a dream project of mine for God, even up to 10 years. I've always wanted a vehicle of this caliber. So I really, really hope I get it. But yeah, I think that's well, it's a brief summary of what to expect, but there's going to be more content filmed. I think Broome, you're going to be looking into Rensport shortly, aren't you?
I have literally just installed Rensport. I've been hearing there's some good things going on about it, so I think I might try and give that a go at some point. I ain't got my sim rig with me up where I'm living at the moment, but unfortunately, I have got an Xbox controller, luckily, so I'll be able to have a look at it. I've got another one on my Christmas list, so hopefully Santa brings me another one.
But yeah, there's plenty of content to come out.
Yeah, we got a lot on the way, haven't we, chaps? So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a pretty steady stream for.
And as well, I think obviously apart from this podcast, I think there'll be a few more coming out in the near future as we're getting into silly season and things like that now, where drivers' markets are changing every day, and obviously we're going to be restarting with WEC and F1, so
and everything else.
and everything else that comes with it. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else, guys, that you feel you want to add?
Apart from saying thanks to everybody for sticking around.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think,
no, it's been a busy few months for us all. We do apologise. We haven't been very active on the channel lately, but we do have full intentions to get right back into it and provide some entertainment for you all.
Yeah, and I think going back to the point at the beginning of the video as well is like this was always made just for fun. It was never supposed to be. It was never like a business venture or anything like that. We've not dedicated our whole life savings into it. But I think it's at a point now where we are able to put a little bit more time and effort into it now. It's always been something close to our heart, this project and this bit of fun, but I think the next few months, if not years, will be quite an enjoyable time on the channel.
I agree with that.
So let's see what the future brings.
Indeed.
And on that note, I think I am going to end the podcast here.
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
As always, if you like the video, just drop a like. In the comments below, just anything you want to relate to us, even if it's some of your experiences in the motorsport world, let us know what you've all been up to. And if there's anything you want to see on the channel again, just let us know, and we'll certainly try and get that made up. But apart from that, don't forget to subscribe as well. It really, really helps us out. We've got our targets set. We would love to do. We love to be around 100 subscribers for Le Mans, so we can live stream it out to you guys as a watch along. I think that'd be very nice. But again, they're just little baby steps. Yeah. We'll get there. But yeah, it helps us out to obviously just subscribe. It doesn't cost anything for you guys, but it helps us out. Pardon me. It helps us out a long way. So apart from that, again, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you on a future video.
Yes, thank you very much. Take care, everyone.